Hello, welcome to the 88 series, seventh episode. Yep, I'm in it. I'm calling them episodes now. That's just what it is. So, like I've mentioned, I'm sharing slides from a class that I taught. I have a hard time. I guess I'm in this process right now. Yeah, I taught a class. I'm very confident about it. From sorry, from December last year to May this year. And I did weekly recordings, but we also had weekly live calls. And on those live calls, being I was about to make it about astrology, but just being me, I just won't. Being the me that I am, I made a bunch of slides for those calls as well. It's like I jam-packed as much information as I could. And so some of the slides I'm about to share are from when Venus was retrograde, but we're not going to get into all of that. But I do want to note that a part of the reason when I did this class was because Mars and Venus were in these retrograde periods. And I thought it would be some fun, chaotic times to flow through and experience, but also there's something to some of the like dimensional mechanics that I'll mention at another point in time. And so, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It was cool that Venus was retrograde, but I'm not going to get into that. But I will talk about Venus a little bit. So allow yourself to view yourself within the copper mirror, the copper lens. How do you respond to life and to stimulation? Are you choosing are you choosing to be more responsible? Do you shame yourself when you act in a certain way compared to another way? Why? Why do you do that? Is this because I'm sorry, I'm being kind of goofy. Is this because of your own beliefs or another's? Or is it because you care how another judges your emotional expression? Can you soften to yourself more? I guess this would be in the arena or window of do you think you are cringe? And can you be more cringe? And love that. In the perceived past, many believed Venus to be two planets or stars because of her cycles and movements and visibility, because of her flow. And so she has two names and even carries two energies. Take it with a grain of salt. A morning and evening star, she holds the complexity of both energies and more. Venus encompasses the paradox of a full spectrum being within one vessel, one perception of sorts. She is connected to the zodiac signs of modern rulers here. Oh, it says Taurus and Venus. Let me change that. It's Taurus and Libra. I am a Taurus sun. Kind of like no matter which way you spin it. I know in some reality or version I have an Aries sun, but for the most part, from what I've seen, I have not been. I am a Taurus sun in every calculation, early or late degree. So maybe that is why it said Taurus and Venus. I was like, pff. But anyway, okay, so when I say modern, I think I said that before I did that, but I did mean to say that. So modern ruler of Libra, actually, you know what? Let me pause this. I don't know if you can hear it, but I have something plugged in and it's like so loud. My mom can't hear it. I'll be like, it's piercing my ears. And she'll be like, what? So, yeah. Okay. It was stinging my brain canals. Okay. A traditional ruler of Libra would be Saturn. You can still throw Saturn in there, but in this conceptual platter, I am offering up Taurus and Libra to both be ruled by Venus. So that makes Venus connected to the alchemical laws of Taurus, which is congelation and transformation, and Libra, sublimation and transmutation, and more. Take a look at your natal Venus, but also your Taurus and Libra placements and your second and seventh houses. So if you want to do that, you can. Copper. Copper comes from the Latin word cuprum, which is connected to Cyprus, a land known in ancient texts for its copper content. If you recall, that was one of the first places the Knights of Malta was gathered round. Copper is one of the few metals that can occur in nature in a directly usable metallic form and is one of the few metallic elements with a natural color other than gray or silver. It is soft, highly electrically conductive. Maybe I should have said and, but I didn't. It is said to be the first metal to be smelted into sulfide ores, to be cast into a shape in a mold, to be purposefully alloyed with another metal, tin, to create bronze. Copper salts are involved in the creation of the colors in crystals like azurite, malachite, and turquoise. It is said that women have about 20% higher copper serum in their blood than men. Venus is the brightest planetary body after the sun, gold, and the moon, silver, so it is therefore paired with the third metal, copper. So, those are just some, I don't know why I'm having some weird things come in my brain. Like I said, whatever, platter. I was gonna say, so those are some tiddly bidleys. What? Those are some tiddly bidleys about Venus. I think that might be the last. Yeah. See yourself through the copper mirror. So some of those things about copper, yeah, beyond just the Cypress aspect are related to other things we've mentioned because I'm not trying to prove anything here. I'm literally sharing notes that I took in a stream of consciousness that you could say are evidence. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just trying to, again, expand and display this lens of when you focus on something, you also see it other places. It doesn't mean it's just a coincidence or that it's not real or that it wasn't there before. But yes, just that. How many things can you see these li ripples and layers? I was going to say lipples and layers. Ripples and layers that are connected in this way where we're not talking about just weaving the threads. We're talking about the thread factory. Not trying to like be God necessarily, but take a look at the contentions between different layers of what is looked at as like ancestral familial stories, fairy tales, etc., ecclesiastical things, mythologies, etc., traditions, and the things that shift when it comes to spoken oral tradition versus what's written, and how we don't necessarily live in a fully fixed atmospheric plane. And so, I kind of forget what I was saying there. Everything's connected. I mean, when I forget, sometimes it's just that, but it's also like, get back to this. So, I already read this, but I'm going to read it again. Monarchs, Poseidon, Queen Elizabeth. It says Queen, comma, Elizabeth. Before continuing with some more Ascension glossary lore on the Order or Knights of Malta, seeing that Queen Elizabeth II was suited as the monarch of Malta. In the UK, she was the monarch of 15 realms at her death. And again, this echoes for me the 15-dimensional matrix sciences. Her reign of 70 years and 214 days is the longest of any British monarch, the second longest of any sovereign state, and the longest of any regnant in history. The word monarch isn't rare, but so far we have talked about one other monarch, Poseidon. I'm sure we've mentioned someone else. When looking at the word and typing up these slides, I was looking at the word monarch differently than I have before. Monarch, mon and arc. First, I thought of the French word mon, meaning my. I guess I had to say it like that. Mon. My arch, my path, my geometry, etc. Rhodes, Order of Malta. I'm sure I'm going to talk about the other part of that, but I guess I just cut it off and that's it. My art, my path, my geometry. Moving on here. And we have monarch. Monarch with a K, with a CH, supreme governor for life, a sole or autocratic ruler of a state. Monarcha, monarchs, one who rules alone. That's how I feel, but not like other people. Well, I just outed myself. I guess I'm a monarch. My middle name is Constantina, but I digress. In modern times, generally, a hereditary sovereign with more or less limited powers. More so, I was meaning alone. I like to do what I want by myself. One who rules alone. I get it now that I read it and I literally thought of like someone who's over there. Even though I know I'm reading the etymology and definition of the word monarch, my mind, can you relate to being more of like a right brain person? I feel like I come off sometimes to different people super smart. I guess I could just say I'm smart, but I don't really care about that. So what I'm saying is like I know I can like look at words and I know what makes sense. I can't help it. I know what makes sense and logical sense at that. But really that is where I just went with that is I want to do what I want by myself. I may also be one who rules alone. But they're talking about monarchy here, okay? So let's keep it straight of the layers. Actually, we don't have to keep straight layers, but like, I'm, I'm, uh, I'm, uh, I am, I can't think of the word, but I'm doing it right now where I'm showing how different things are connected and that the feelings of different things, well, yes, monarchies can be awful and horrible. Monarchs whatever. There's also monarch butterflies. I don't know what I'm saying here. Honestly, I feel like I'm going off on a weird tangent. But the next line says there, a type of large orange and black Northern American butterfly, 1885, interesting timing. But I am actually without all that brain farting, but not energy, being an example, I don't know, of how I can the story for me there, like it's like I read One Who Rules Alone and I made it about me wanting to be by myself and do what I want. Um, so there are layers where that might be what some people are trying to do. As we can see throughout history, that is not what happens. And there is something to like ego and pride and the more pejorative natures of those energies. Okay, so Prince of Orange. Uh, milkweed, butterfly, monarchy, a kingdom territory ruled by a monarch, ruled by one person with supreme power, sovereignty, absolute power, monarchia, absolute rule, literally ruling of one, monos, alone, from the root men, a small, isolated, and arcane, to rule, see archon, meaning form of government in which supreme power is in the hands of a monarch. Um, very interesting. Mon, meaning man, badge of a family, especially of the ancient. I didn't know this was, even though it's, what does it say here? Monos, alone, men, small, but then you look up mon in this regard and it has all these layers. So the badge of a family, especially of a family of the ancient feudal nobility. The most frequent form of the mon is circular, and it commonly consists of conventionalized forms from nature, flowers, birds, insects, the lightnings, lightning bugs? No, lightning, waves of the sea, or of geometrical symbolic figures. Fascinating how everything just I probably have mentioned this because that's what I'm doing here, but I don't try to put things together. That's why it comes together so neatly, because I'm just acknowledging things as being alive and I'm not trying to prove a point. So there's somewhat of this bandwidth of like rubber band nature. And it's like, I'm like, come on, let's all hang out, let's all talk. So there's so many layers just in what I read there, where it's like so many things we already talked about. So it's not like about one storyline. I'm not trying to be like, oh, look, every culture has the same story. Yes, that. But what I'm saying is this goes beyond that when it comes to the experience of being a human in form here. And not everyone's going to relate to what I'm saying necessarily. I feel at some core deep level they would, but like I am just not for everybody. I mean, maybe in some way we all are for everybody, but we're all different and that's cool. Okay, so it appears on lacquer and pottery and embroidered on or woven in fabrics. The imperial chrysanthemum, the mon of the reigning family, is used as a national emblem. Formerly, the mon of the shoguns of Tokugawa family was so used. Also called Monsho, Mondokoro, and Kamon. Are Japanese emblems, I don't know how you pronounce these. Are Japanese emblems used to decorate and identify an individual, a family, or more recently, an institution, municipality, or business entity? Three, the former currency of Japan until 1870 before the yen was the mon. Four, a colloquial pronunciation of man in places such as Jamaica and Shropshire in England. What's up, mon? Five, the Mon Khmer language spoken by the Mon. I don't know if that's how you say that either. I think I don't have to keep saying that, but I feel the need to say that I don't know how to say things. Number six, a member of the Buddhist people living in Myanmar and adjacent parts of Thailand. And seven, the second day of the week, the first working day, Moon Day. So we have all these different things here on the right, all these imageries of everything that I was just talking about. Um, so there's something to like branding, which we'll come back to. We mentioned it a little bit, but there's something to this energy and other layers of what is just called branding that's the same fucking thing. And again, we don't need to necessarily be like it's all bad because like boo, that's the same thing too. To be like that's bad, this is good, let's write a list and let's project that again. No. This is like we got to do a little bit more deeper of a uh feeling into things. We got to like be patient in the way that we are, move at the pace that you want to, but really like really feel into what would be the point of being a human and being in the same time and space. There's some level we resonate at even through and above all of this stuff. So no matter what, there are echoes where, yeah, you could say, that's fine, that doesn't matter. But I guess I am pointing out a little bit of the nefarious nature of the geometrical projections and ties that things like these symbols have that can just seem like they mean nothing to people, or people take it to another extreme where it's super religious, ecclesiastic, pseudo spiritual in some way. And what I mean by that is like fear mongering, telling other people how to perceive things. I think that's all the same kind of energy. So I feel like there's something to a responsibility of being alive during a time of so much connectivity all over the world where it's not about the overwhelm and the pejorative parts of the internet and social media. It's like, can we like step up a bit and put on different glasses, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's like the 3D glasses examples of like, not looking the same, and then you put on the 3D glasses and you're like, whoa, it makes sense. It was looking all double vision before. Funny, 3D glasses, the red and the blue, all the red and blue themes here on Earth. But like, can we reframe things? Can we be alive during the paradigm shift that people describe? People talking about it all the time, but then they're doing the same things. So this whole 88 series is also kind of my like, we all need to like, maybe we don't need to be smacked. What if it was like I smacked you with cotton candy? Then you could eat it. But I gotta like do something to wake you up, and that's not maybe like I don't want to hurt anybody. But you would be aghast. You'd go, why did you just slap me with that? And I go, eat it, stop. Really think about it. Really consider what am I doing here and why? Not like, oh, and maybe, yeah, maybe, but I personally don't think this is it. But I don't know everything. I don't think we're here to be like, I want to be known for this thing. Mind you, it can be known for things if that's what's going on. But I think being authentic and genuine, while me even saying what being authentic and genuine it means or is to me is also a little disingenuous. Like I'm like, I annoy my own self, but there's something to just like, I don't know, showing up in a certain way where I forgot. I saw a note I wrote myself over there and it says, love ya. And it's got like a smiley face with hard eyes. And I like that. So let's keep going. Let's take the me forgetting as another nod. All right, arch. Structure in a building, bridge, in the shape of a curve that stands when supported only a at the extremities. Arch with an E, arch of a bridge, arcade, arcus, bow. It largely replaced native bow in this sense. Transferred by early 15th century to anything having a curved form, like eyebrows, feet, etc. The commemorative or monumental arch is attested in English from late 14th century. Arc de Triomphe, like. All right. Imposter, Hijack of Templars, and King Solomon. So if you do not like Ascension Glossary, you might want to mute me or turn this off now. I'm going to read some jargon. Actually, let me take a sip of water. Over the years, we have discovered repeatedly that the Antichrist confuses and twists the Christos intelligence and spiritual knowledge into aberrations, reversals, inversions, and perversions through the use of dark impostors manipulated by non-human NAA forces. Since the Luciferian covenant was made on earth, there has been an ongoing battle for this knowledge, in which the true ancient wisdom keepers were consistently hunted down and massacred. A major timeline trigger event began with the Celtic invasion 9,500 years ago when the NAA and Illuminati groups attempted to create a super race of genetic elites. This placed hijacked Ruby Sun DNA through their propagated lines, which evolved into Freemasonry, Knights Templar, Rosicrucians, Jesuits, and other secret societies such as the Knights of Malta that persist with a similar hermetic esoteric knowledge that is primarily used in the negative polarity of service to self. Like when I was like, rule all by oneself, like or all alone. I'm like, yeah, I want to be by myself. I still made it about me, which is fine. Some of us are designed that way. You could say that's my human design, is like a very individual energy. But what I was gonna say also is that remember I, as Teresa, I have always been very mindful of which storylines, which histories, which texts, like, not that I've been so 100% strict across the board, but like you won't see me reading books and you won't see me learning things in school to be passed as smart. So there's a lot of things I do sound stupid to people. Like I don't know a lot about politics. And it won't stick even if I try to learn it. It doesn't stick if it's so like I gotta do my thing. That's my service to self, but not in the way they're talking about. However, what I'm saying is I came across the Knights of Malta not through conspiracy theory rabbit holes, but me looking up who made Poseidon's trident? Oh, the Telkines. Where are they from? And part of their story being this connection to Rhodes and me. These notes are literally in real time the way that I wrote them. So some of the stuff we will come back to at later points because as I wrote the notes, it was like a 2, 3 week period. I just was like, oh, boom, bam, boom, bam. So, um, I am pointing that out again to say this isn't something you're studying and looking at and learning about, or even going down a rabbit hole and seeing what other people did. The stuff will come to you, especially if you let it be. You could do whatever you want. Don't listen to me, but I'm just saying, like I said, I'm not saying I don't read because I'm dissing people who read. I'm saying that we don't need to read. And maybe some people do, but I don't know. Maybe I'm saying those things because I feel uncomfortable making claims because I don't know, that just because I feel uncomfortable. So, I'm encouraging people to like go beyond. How about let's like mind fuck. Let's mind fuck ourselves a little bit, make love to your mind, figure some things out there when it comes to like again, how often you get pulled into a place where like you're being a certain way that you know is not you. Like a part of you knows you're not doing what you came here to do. And maybe you don't like how serious I am about that. That means this is not for you at the end of the day. Don't hate watch me either, please, okay? I'm going to continue. During the pivotal historical timeline trigger events of Antichrist warring, there were factions of these imposters who assumed the Christos Templar identity that organized themselves into the Luciferian Knights Templars. These same Canaanite groups into Carthage and filtered the Christos Essene Templar teachings that were in the protection of King Solomon in Jerusalem, where they were able to generate demonic grimoires, and satanic sigils for gaining ritual power from the Solomon Keys. These blood sacrifice rituals were directly connected to conjuring lunar demons and the Baphomet network, used to further the interests of conquest among the Luciferian Knights Templars. Thus, these knights' orders have been constantly conflated together through history and in mainstream narratives. It is very confusing with all the lies we have been told. However, these same groups appear to be the originators and direct ancestors of several of these modern secret orders running the world today, such as those in the top levels of the Knights of Malta, Blackwater, and Council of 300. Reading this was making me think of a lot of different things that have happened to me in my life and how I just still stand by it. We don't need to be reading. We don't need to be reading so much. We don't need to be so tied into like knowing what's going on or even trying to prove to anyone anything. But I won't get into that. That's just what I'll say there. More from AG. Reference from historical timeline trigger events approximately 9,500 years ago, the Knights Templar invasion, Essene Templar massacre, takeover of Celtic Templar lines, NAA attempt to create super race of controllers for Earth, genetic elitism, lineage of Freemasonry, massacre of those who do not comply, blah, 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 hidden esoteric knowledge agenda. And then from 1700 years ago, during the Council of Nicaea, the NAA and Luciferian Knights Templar cover story to hide the Christos mission and humanity's star origins, false alien god worship, and blood sacrifice based religion that became the canonized Bible. These histories are connected and relevant as the Magi Grail King Solomon was recently retrieved and integrated with his organic Christos body parts, which further activate and repair the Shield of Solomon. King Solomon is the bloodline bearer or holder of the Christos three king lineage, and this is the foundation of the 12-12 template for the triple solar masculine Christ and its rod instruction set made in the Temple of Solomon, which is both a planetary architecture and personal light body system. Recent events made it possible to recover authentic Magi Grail King Solomon so that his accurate DNA blood records and Dragon King body parts were finally reclaimed to the rightful owner. Interesting. Malta, Rhodes, Solomon, Joseph themes and synchronicities, and we'll continue along here. The island of Malta exists in a location where there are several important dragon lines that intersect into a powerful Mother Ark gateway built by the Hyperboreans during the Celtic massacre period, which belong in the rightful control of the authentic Mother of Dragons, the Celtic triple goddess lineages of Mary-Magdalene Sophia, MeriTaten of Aton, and Merida Guinevere Brigid. Authentic Celtic Essene groups from Hyperborea, the progenitors of the original Nazarene Christos teachings, built many of the temples and underground octagon, nod to the Rhodian cross, structures connected to the Emerald Dragon Templar architecture that formed into a jump gate located in Malta. Other topics that AG Ascension Glossary touches on with these themes, so you can go look for yourself. Dark Alien Mother in Malta. I'm sure I'll talk about one of these at some point. I don't remember. Cosmic Mother Reclamation, Black Dragon, Queen Monarchy, Black Nobility, and Vatican City, which we touched on just a little bit. So Malta down here. Sorry, I hear my cat above me. Okay, no, I didn't mention it. It's just here. Black nobility and Vatican City. So, mind you, I'm not saying that this is all the truth. And yet, I invite you to consider that we were never here to all experience the same thing. And what I'm here to do is not the same thing as what you're here to do. Or maybe you could say, what we experienced before we got to this place has been very different reasoning, and yet we're here to do kind of the same thing. I don't know. But just bear with me as I read things that I'm not saying again are the truth, but I'm sharing it to allow it to, let's say, or you could say, be woven without an agenda. You could say my agenda is to not have an agenda, and that's an agenda, and yet, like, I don't really have a personal attachment to swaying these things a certain way. In fact, that makes me a little bit, uh, I'm adverse to that kind of energy to a degree. Which you could say then my what have I been saying? Kind of that I have a wide casted net of tolerance for varying themes of chaos, you could say. I don't love all chaos all the time, but some things just don't bother me the way they bother other people. And some things bother me, and I'll probably say it. Um, but let me continue here. Okay. In retaliation to the Yeshua mission, the Orion group chose to invade the territories near the fifth dimensional Stargate by infiltrating this central region of Italy in order to lay the foundation for what would become the Church of Rome, the papacy. Is that how you say that? Papacy. Papacy. And the Vatican City. I was just trying to say C again. This began the invasion of the Black Sun non-human entities into the region, which are the groups who originally built the Catholic religious control mechanism and then infiltrated the Jesuit military order. The historical infiltration of the Jesuits at its top supreme general position by the negative aliens in the Orion group greatly plagues human society today. By combining these two NAA infiltrated organizations over time, the Vatican and Jesuit order, these would become the merciless planetary controller mechanism for the worldwide political banking cartels. It is the center point of the satanic pillars used for the perpetuation of global blood sacrifice offerings, which are used for summoning demonic spirits and satanic alien forces that actually enter this realm through the Stargate that exists under Vatican City. I've always been weird, but like at some point in my life, because I went so many years not meeting anyone who could confirm for me that I wasn't crazy, like I said, I'd be like, I'm not reading books. I'm not getting imprinted with things that I'm not here to do, which to a degree, you could say I could have done that with some things. I didn't have to do it so fully. So like I would do anything, even fail classes to not learn about history. But you know, there are people who are like, I'm smart, listen to me recite facts, right? And I get it. But it's funny because people who do that think I'm stupid, and it's not that I think they're stupid, but I'm like, that doesn't mean anything for me. My story isn't involved in a lot of things here. So like I just can't be as bothered with certain things. And while it was like hard to go through life being called stupid and crazy so often, it's okay. Um, so I went, and I might have, forgive me if I already mentioned this when I originally mentioned the Vatican City, but I went with my ex in 2011 to Rome and Greece and Turkey. Okay, Italy, Greece, Turkey. And we were already not getting along very well, but he often would pick on me in ways to like let me know how stupid I was. And he would belittle me because I was from Baltimore City, which is like a whole nother story, but it's like, what? A lot of assumptions from Western Marylanders. But okay, so he and his sister and mom, they were the kind of people who would like write a famous historical figure on a piece of paper and do the game where you put it on your forehead and have someone describe it to you. So they were doing that, and I was like, give me an easy one. I don't want to play this game. Like, as we wait in line to get into the Vatican. So I'm like more interested in trying to make the guards laugh. I was like, I'm just that's what I'm gonna do. I was like, um, in my head they laughed, but I'm saying all of this because I kept being like, whew, I get real weird vibes here. So what I'm saying is a part of me has always been weird and outspoken, but I didn't know or ever read about the Vatican in any way to know that I was at a place that was shady. So believe what you will and what you want. But they kept being kind of like, shut up, and like making fun of me for being stupid. When really I was like, oh, it makes me feel kind of sick being here. Like, I don't know. And I was like, I don't know what's below. And when I say I avoided history and different things or stories, not just history, but like movies, TV, certain things. So like I literally have to this day, I've watched probably more like comic booky type of movies, but after I experienced a lot of things. So I stayed away from a lot of things as to not imprint my own thing going on so that I kept it like more pure, and could remember parts that were me and not other people's imprint so much. But like I said, I didn't know about the Vatican City underneath being confirmed something. I just, when I was there, I kept being like, feels weird here. They got something under there. There's something under here. I don't like it, man. And then my inner gnosis was very just like, activated. Just, my nervous system kind of like, don't like it here. So I was laughing because, like, yet again in my life where someone just thought I was stupid or crazy, but it's, like I've said, I have story time with Tree, even though I haven't posted that in a while. But that's sharing a little bit more about my story and my path. But I definitely haven't experienced what a lot of other people have, and not like, oh, I'm so special, everyone listen to me, but more like it's a little scary. I don't know, but a lot of things I talked about for years, people are starting to talk about more. But it's funny because I'll be 38 next year. Um, and I've been talking about certain stuff since I could talk at age 1. So I just don't really care about people believing me so much anymore. Gotta just be my weird ass self. It's like, caw, caw. That's me putting out a call to my other weirdos. Okay, let me continue reading. For about the 13th century, several northern Italian. Oh, I ate an edible earlier. That is partially why this is happening. I'm like, why do I keep going on tangents and then awkwardly trying to like stop the tangent and then I end up talking longer? Okay, from about the 13th century, several northern Italian aristocratic families infiltrated by the Khazarians much earlier began to develop into the highest of the ruling satanic elites through the accumulation of vast wealth in the banking and merchant businesses. We're talking Taurus and Gemini energies. These ruling elites found their wealth exploding. It's more than that, but exploding through satanic practices of blood and child sacrifice and began to settle into the areas close to the power center of the Vatican. These wealthy Roman aristocratic families are the main lineages of Black nobility, the Black nobility and papal bloodlines, whose ancestors include the House of Sforza, Visconti, Savoy, Genovese, Chorlania, Colonna, Massimo, Brandini, Doria, Orsini, Farnese, Pallavicini, Ruspoli, Habsburg, Hesse, and Rothschild. Go down. I'm laughing because, like, I like to be very mindful what I let into my field, like what my auditory system is turned on to, what my visual system is turned on to. So, mind you, as we get older in this plane, we might not be as sharp in certain things because we haven't stayed as consistent. So, we're not as aware, or, maybe I'm hyper vigilant in certain ways, even. But, like, what I'm saying is, I live on this street that at some point has 3 different names, but there's many streets on this street. And I've never, I've lived here a while, but never paid attention to all the names. So it's always fun over the years where I'll be researching something and then I'm driving on the same street I've driven on for so long. And then I look and I'll be like, oh. So the other month it was Habsburg Court. Habsburg Court is down the street, like not even a mile away, or maybe a mile away. And never noticed it before. But if you follow Knitted Anus on Instagram, he was talking about Habsburg, and I saw a video and bada bing. Also, someone I know named Massimo kind of sucks. So I'm not surprised that name's in there. Additionally, the Jesuit order was being was being structured into a male-only secret military operation from about 500-ish years ago, which began to infiltrate these same aristocratic lineages for gaining power and control in geopolitics. Over time, the Jesuit secret, it's more than 500 years, right? I guess it's just 500. It feels like freaking forever. I've been alive for 3,000 plus years. Over time, the Jesuit secret oath for complete obedience to the Supreme General, who eventually became the Black Pope, progressed considerably when the secret order became influential and in full control of the obscene amount of wealth hidden in the Vatican underground vaults. It's obscene. The Jesuit control over the Vatican institution further evolved into the generation of many other subsidiary organizations for handling assorted operations, such as the Military Order of Malta, along with the creation of various central banks, secret societies, and cults. Many of these subsidiary organizations, run by the high ranking Jesuits, were the driving force behind the creation of the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Trade Organization, and NATO after World War II. These are the globalist organizations that were put in place after the largest and most recent human holocaust to fully protect the monopolies represented in the international business interests that promote the same anti-agendas of these bloodlines. Sorry, I'm all distracted reading the word monopolies because earlier my mom mentioned she was reading a headline about something and she said the word monopoly. And I thought it was so funny that some people practice monogamy and some people practice polygamy, and that's monopoly. Don't ask why I think it's so incredibly funny, but it fits in. It fits in with all this stuff here. Um, so I'm not going to add that in right now, but I do need to. I'm looking around for a pen because I'm like, I need to remember. I need to remember that. Because that making me laugh. So it making me laugh, and that's one thing, right? Making me laugh. Gotta remember it. Um, but that's the game. Monopoly. Monogamy, polygamy. That's the game. Hierogamy. Her. She. Okay. The black nobility, through its Jesuits connections, put fascist dictator Benito Mussolini in power, who established the Vatican as a sovereign nation through the Lateran Treaty of 1929, ending decades of struggle between the Italian state and the papacy. Following the conclusion of the Lateran Treaty in 1929, the black nobility were given dual citizenship in Italy and Vatican City. This gave the black nobility full, unrestrained access and unchecked power. Hi, Bob. Unchecked power. I want to say hi. Oh, sorry. Hi, I love you. Um, Unchecked power. I love you. To use the Vatican as their covert business entity, installing the Black Pope and forming the Holy See Corporation, which shrouded the veil, while shrouded in the veils of secrecy and fronted by the white pope and those wearing holy robes purporting to be men of God to the religiously devoted. A top objective of the Vatican mafioso control was accumulating and concealing vast amounts of wealth from global criminal activities when deposits were made in the Swiss and Vatican bank accounts. These funds are used for money laundering and funding the overall objectives of the One World Order in favor of these satanic ruling elites. So, if you're not familiar, take Ascension Glossary with a grain of salt, like everything else. Sorry. I've got other dialogues going on. A grain of salt, because while I believe and agree with a lot of this to a degree, there's also some things that, like, you could say actually already resolved in certain ways and dimensions. And so the overlay and overcast of certain things echoes out. And then so the perpetuation of certain stories continues, which upholds the projection of them and the holography of them. And you could say that then their effects are energetic bodies more apparently than our physical body. So it is even subconscious and it is felt. And then we build from a foundational standpoint or stance with that energy. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me. It is rumored that many prominent political figures across the globe have bank accounts with unfathomable wealth and earmarked for funding and carrying out the objectives of the Satanic Council and the Black Nobility, whom are enmeshed within every political, financial, and governmental decision that greatly impacts the state of the nations across the globe. Recent news reveals that Switzerland had bought the rights of the company connected to the current backdoor voting system used globally, as well as evidence of signed affidavits and testimony given about Italy's involvement to manipulate recent elections in the United States. This goes straight up to the Black nobility, straight up their butts. Jesuits and the Vatican, which illustrates this point perfectly. The Vatican remains a massive power and global control center for running the one world order pedophilia operations for satanic rule throughout the controller pillars of society, which is overseen and managed by the Black nobility and bloodline families. This particular satanic agenda goes back 2,000 years ago when the Black Sun Draconians retaliated by infiltrating the Greek sacred texts and Rome to build the Church of Rome, thus mock the Christos mission and spread their violent religious rhetoric through the mind control worshiping of the false Jesus crucified in a satanic blood sacrifice. The Vatican City in Rome is one of the NAA Black Sun entity's main control bases and global headquarters. It is the spiritual center used for carrying out satanic ritual and operations for gaining wealth and material power for the global Luciferian bloodline families funding their satanic agendas. The top power echelon in the Vatican is secretly working with the international criminal cabal government groups, the Jesuit military orders, and the Luciferian bloodline families, together called the Globalists, to carry out blood sacrifice rituals and child trafficking in order to nourish the satanic forces on the planet. So there's more on Ascension Glossary, more in life, more in the ethers. Like we'll get to it and talk about some more things in here. But I don't come from a background of being in rabbit holes about conspiracies and conspiracy theories. I experienced this through my dream state and my reality in the 90s. It was terrifying, but it allowed me to, rather than learn it through the written text and format of others. So mind you, I'm sharing all of this, but I'm trying to read it to you through my channel. Not like I'm channeling someone, but like me, my voice. But also giving you my little sprinklings and spices of things because my intention is for you not to be overly influenced or impacted by me and my gnosis, my lens, my perception, but to encourage the freedom of that movement. And so, um, what was I saying? Sorry, I read the ethers again and I got pulled into the ethers. So you can read more about this on Ascension Glossary, but also all these things, they connect and echo in certain ways. And it doesn't need to be all of these things, but I would also consider, like, especially if you can think back and if you're around my age, even, especially if you're an 88 baby, 88 dragon baby at that. Um, the clarity of recollection holistically to what you were experiencing and what was consistently conditioning you to see or think otherwise, and consider that much of the fuckery here is done by and through mind control, and that like the people are not the enemy, if there is one. And even then, it's not going to happen through fighting these enemies. This is like that's what I'm saying. This is mind fucky energy, man. All right, let's continue on with some of my things that I was playing with, that I love playing around with, surrounding this energy and these themes of the Order of Malta and Rhodes. So, with the recent mention of the Telkines, the spine of Albion, and the triple goddess energy, I will touch again on the 3M energies. If you remember, I brought the 3M up before, and we're bringing it up again, and I will bring it up again. Different contexts, same storyline, same geometry, same energy, different echoes and waves and ripples. But you could say all from the same thread factory. Okay. So I've brought them up before, like I said, with Virgo, Omentum, and Momentum. The three M's of the zodiac, the Virgo glyph, the Scorpio glyph, and the Aquarius glyph, all working with water in different ways, waterways. Virgo, the salty sea, Scorpio, the icy waters, and Aquarius, the metaphysical water bearer. You could also say Virgo is a bit of a fire earth energy, and Scorpio is this like stickiness. There's a stickiness, like a holding together, a goopiness of the icy waters as well, like a shifting of the chemistry between states. And Aquarius having this literal salt energy as well, but there's so many misconceptions of that, and we'll talk about it at some point, I think. But Aquarius being the water in that urn, and the urn is Saturn, and Sat is seed, and blah, blah, blah. I have a theory that Aquarius, all humans are Aquarius because we're all water bearers and we're on Capricorn Earth. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. And then the three mother letters in the Phoenician. So I guess I've brought it up twice already. The three mother letters in the Phoenician alphabet that reflect and embody the micro and macro cosmic orbits and cycles of existence, Aleph, Mem, and Shin. Now we have the triple solar goddess and solar dragon queen energies. Virgo's magnum opus is the triple solar goddess alchemy, which is referred to in some senses as awakening Albion, of course, connected to Albion and the spine of Albion, which we will touch on in the 3M energy again later. But for now, we're focused upon Merida, Mary-Magdalene Sophia, MeriTaten, Merida Guinevere Brigid, and Mary Scotia and Mary Sophia. Let me see. It's a lot more. This was like probably the most of a lot of that. Yeah, I'll keep going because I'm almost through it. But I feel like my throat hurts a little bit from talking so much. And because it's stuff that's like I feel like hush hush to a degree, depending on where you are. Triple solar goddess. So this is more from Ascension Glossary for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. The solar dragon activation in Karnak, France, is returning these networks to the rightful power of the Holy Mother's Sophianic consciousness. The alignment is for the Cosmic Mother, or for Cosmic Mother to resurrect her solar daughters, to protect the earth and natural kingdoms from the anti-female satanic forces of control. The landmass of France is very important to the resurrection of the solar body of Sophianic consciousness on the Earth, and this Karnak network activating during the phase of the destruction of the Baphomet network to reconnect with Albion and the United Kingdom helps us to understand the reasons why. When the solar daughter comes, she comes in the Trinity pattern of the triple solar goddess. And this awakening out of stasis creates a big problem for these lunar female demonic forces and reversal female forces that were used to spread Satanism and support for the Leviathan entities, those hierarchies which are conjured by SRA and the black magic grids. These blood sacrifice systems are being starved out, withering away. The Crystalla Sophianic sonic pillars are related to the resurrection of the triple solar goddess principle by the cosmic Christos solar dragons. This specifically overrides the use of Sophianic parts from being utilized in satanic versions using SRA with the Dark Queen Mother magic reversals. Magic. Reversal female archetypal forces. The correction of sound bodies relating to overriding the female archetypal stages used in satanic rituals, which hijack the solar feminine Christ consciousness and require the Black Queen Mother to oversee blood sacrifices of children and the ritualistic roles of the Virgin Maiden to crone. Here you could also say that the maiden is Virgo and the crone is Pisces. So I also want to note that you can think of storylines of evil females in like horror movies, and this like there's often children involved. So not that it's only because there's like you could say Freddy horror story, but I'm talking like many myths and stories that have to do with women like taking children somewhere or eating children or doing something in some way. So it's just again a part of the storylines that shifted at some point, and that we don't need to demonize every single thing that comes along with the shifts that come along with time. Hence me liking like tropical astrology and sidereal and like sky astrology. I'm like, I like all of it. It all has a place. Not for everyone. Okay, awakening Albion. The Albion holds the most important key in comprehending the purpose of human consciousness evolution and spiritual ascension in order to become an initiated cosmic Christ, anointed by the Holy Father and Holy Mother, in order to express their divine will and be embodied as God, sovereign, free. The knowledge and alchemy held within the Albion's alembic chamber to co-create the cosmic Christos intelligence via rainbow rounds of liquid plasma light is the key in understanding humanity's divine purpose and ultimate mission upon the earth. The awakening Albion and rides of Arthur to find his beloved counterpart, the triple solar goddess Guinevere Brigid, Mary Scotia, and Mary Sophia, informs us how humanity was seated here from the stars in twin aspects, and why the divine mind of God has chosen to express in this manner. When I was little, I would talk about my twin a lot. I didn't call it a twin, but I would be like, when everything blew up a long time ago, that's when we got split into two. And there's a polarity where there's someone you're supposed to like meet again. Whatever. But something else I was gonna say here was that I mentioned Habsburg Court or whatever down the street, but I did mention it before though, and I told you not to stalk me. But you could say the King Arthur theme is heavy here, where I live on Seven Courts in Nottingham. Um, okay, let's continue. Mother of Dragons. I'll probably go for another half hour-ish. The Celtic goddess lineages are from the authentic Grail lines of the Mother of Dragons, and with much anticipated return of the Tuatha Celtic goddess MeriTaten has opened. I'm reading it kind of like Keontic Sciency, but sometimes there's a difference with the Ascension Glossary. So Tuatha is how I would read that. And then I would read that MeriTaten, but I pretty sure they're doing like the ta, like ka ra sa ta. All right, return of Tuatha, and I could be totally wrong. Tuatha Celtic goddess MeriTaten has opened a floodgate of Celtic Grail Kings tribal fire letter DNA activations. Thus, many ascending females connected directly to this particular lineage in their ancestry are beginning to be systematically downloaded with these Solar Dragon Queen Celtic Triquetra codes. Solar Dragon Queen Celtic Triquetra codes. It's like a tongue twister. And I said it like, I feel like I've already done this in the mere 7 videos I've recorded. I'm like, have I already quoted Zoolander more than once? Mocha Frappuccinos or what, orange mocha, whatever the whole thing is. That's how I said it. Okay, the identity, if you're old enough for that, my gosh, as we get older, I'm almost okay, I just turned my half birthday was 2 days ago. I just turned 37 and a half, but I'm at the age now where I realize when I reference certain things, people younger than me are like, what? And I'm like, oh, am I old now? Cool. Okay. The identity of MeriTaten was hidden and obscured from view as her mother and dragon power source is located in Scotland, Alba, and was not only coveted by any trace of her embodiment is viciously despised by the hostile invading groups. Thus, there are several counterfeits in red cube projections throughout timelines that are using the same name signature. Not actually signature. We're talking energetic signature, but also name in this regard. Any contact made with this identity from genetic bloodlines was being tracked and marked for death by those invaders having taken possession of the planetary cathedral architecture, thus the ongoing attempt to kill the female Christos lineages, such as the Cathars and Essene lines, from Gaul, which can give birth and bring forth the true Christos teachings and eternal life coding of the law of one. The war over timelines includes a war over authentic Christosophio-hierogamic identities, as all invading groups have generated their versions of the imposters for gaining strategic dominance in the Antichrist wars. White solar queens, I believe this is the last part of all of that. The white queens of Cosmic Mother are most despised by the NAA because their full embodiment within their Emerald Order's triple solar dragon white queen template is what rolls up the artificial timelines. As the dragon rings of the White Queen template bring in the genetic records of the Celtic Magi Grail lines of the 11th and 12th tribes. I'm going to take a sip of water again. When she reconnected with the Eyrie, there was an explosion of Emerald Order triquetra flower formations, in which 3-leafed clovers opened into 4-leafed clovers, and emerald green clovers with gold flecks appeared to be sprayed into the grids of the landmass. Those 4-leafed clover light symbols form into mandalas of quad emerald templates of the 48D Emerald Sun, which are accessible in the Hill of Tara. This is a fractal coding of the Emerald Sun DNA appearing in the axiatonal lines, which starseed generals Christos starseeds and indigos help to anchor into the horizontal fields through our diamond sun template. White Queen and Goddess here is also a nod back to myths surrounding Halia, which we will expand on more soon. White is also a nod back to the aforementioned Arjuna asteroid belt, aka Comet Atlas, but the one from 2024, dubbed a mini moon. And I did the nod because the Atlas bone. Rhodes, Order of Malta, Order of Rhodes. So when it comes to the way Ascension Glossary speaks of the Order of Malta and the Nazis and death camp scientists that were given false identities and Maltese passports, etc., later on I will go more in depth, but wanted to touch on certain mind control programs. So call this fake or made up or conspiracy theory, whatever. We're going to dip into what's called the Monarch Mind Control Program, which plays on the Wizard of Oz storyline and symbolism. But we will touch on that closer towards the Pisces end of this spectrum or axis we are playing with, when we touch more on the conscious and subconscious and on the peripheral mind and vision. So we're bobbing and dipping and diving and weaving here. For now, let us actually head back into the territory of Halia and let us play around with the words sea and water. So we have Rhodes, Halia, Salacia. Greek Halia is also Latin Salacia, I don't know how you say it, sorry, who is also compared to Poseidon's counterpart, Amphitrite. Amph meaning round, about, on both sides, or all around. Trite, feminine of tritos, meaning third. Or Triton, sea, the sea all around. The 3D sea, the third roundabout, the third cycle, sky, land, sea. Halia meaning briny, salty. Hali, salt, a lump of salt. Halls, hollows, lump of salt, the sea in Homer's work. Sol, salt, halls, salt, sea. Halia is potentially related to Himalaya, an eastern Rhodian nymph. Himalaya meaning abode of snow. Hima meaning snow. Him, snow. So cold. Sanskrit Himalayan root for winter, gaim, and abode, alaya. Gaimala, haim, haimala. Also connected to lime as a derivative of layate, sticks, stays, sticky, a nod to salts and minerals. Lime, it's funny because that's Scorpio's salt right there. Sulf. Lime is actually Capricorn salt, but The sticky is the Scorpio salt, you could say. Lime is chalky, sticky mineral. Okay, chalky, sticky mineral. Chalk connected to the word calx, which is a throwback, if you recall, to cockatrice and calcaneus from whenever. I think I did that last time, or the fifth or fourth. Wait, no, the fifth or sixth episode. That was where I talked about the ermine loophole. Haleutic, pertaining to fishing. Cockatrice, because I just mentioned it, right? Yeah. So we have calcare, to tread, we have heel, calcaneus, heel bone, bone of the heel, hip, ankle, thigh. But you see, oh, sorry, I didn't put it in bold. I put them in italics, bold, and underline. Calx, meaning heel. More of that Pisces energies. Sea etymology and meaning. Sea. Sheet of water, lake, pool. Mare, mere. Latin, mare, acor, pontus, pelagius, marmor. Dark area of the moon's surface. Before the invention of telescopes in the 3D timeline, the surfaces and celestial bodies were thought to be water. The moon, the sea. Mare, female horse, equine animal. Broad, dark areas of the moon. Night goblin, incubus. Queen of the nightmare, demons of the corpses. Mare, to rub away, to harm, to die, related to death. The mare in astronomer and emerald are really sticking out to me now. Woodmare, echo, a nod back to echo in story, mythology, and sound. In Anglo-Saxon superstition, the echo was a spirit who dwelt in the wilds and mocked people. As the nightmare, it tormented people in bed. With sound, echo is a sound repeated by reflection. Achaean meaning to resound. Mythology, Echo, a mountain nymph who pined away for the love of Narcissus until nothing was left but her voice. Echo chamber, first dimension, Aries, root chakra, law of mentalism, etc. The law of mentalism existing at the first dimensional level of Aries is important to note because we can be in our own echo chamber in a one-dimensional loop. Water etymology and meaning. Wed, wet, water. May also be connected to ap, Sanskrit apa. Ap meaning animate, referring to water as a living force. Wed, inanimate, reference to water as substance, which is slightly confusing because I feel like I see everything as alive. Water, measure of quality of a diamond. Arabic, ma, meaning water, used in sense of luster or splendor. White diamond goddesses, white solar queens. Excuse me. Julep, a syrupy drink in which medicine is given. A sweet drink, rose water. Gull, meaning rose, so nodding back to Rhodian and Rhodes. Ab, meaning water. Nod back to Op. Thalassa, the divine female personification of the sea, connected to primordial sea goddess Tiamat. Panthalassa, the universal sea. Pan meaning all, thalassa meaning sea. The sea sees all. Rhodes, salt, seawater. Salt etymology. I guess I didn't have to read that, and then I was thinking about something else for a sec. Salt etymology and meaning. Sodium chloride, not just the literal chemical name for salt, but also the name of the literal cell salt associated with Aquarius. As the water bearer, sodium chloride attracts and holds water, also called natmer or natrium muriaticum. Cell salt number 9 in most instances. Abundant substance essential to life. Experienced sailor. Regarded to repel spiritual evil or magical evil. Salt of the earth. Persons of worthiness. Side note that Tiamat is the primordial sea in the Babylonian epic and beyond, and Tiamat is Thalate romanticized. Absu is the subterranean ocean, and Tiamat the overground sea, mixing their waters. Tiamat as the female principle connected to Namu, potentially, Enki's mother. Marduk, son of Enki, storm god, the stories echoing each other. As I said that, it was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 33 seconds on my side. Wasn't on your side because I paused the video at some point. Side note 2, salt in the news lately, so this is all the way back in the beginning of the year, but as a nod to finances, etc., state and local taxes, salt. Another side note. Phases of water, phases of the moon, seasons. 4 of each. Solid, liquid, vapor, plasma, new, waxing, full, waning. What if I added the spring? Would it be like spring, summer, fall, winter? Maybe. Energy, it doesn't, I just added the seasons in now. It wasn't a part of that before. I don't want to confuse anyone. Not that this all isn't a jumble of a lot of different things, might generally be confusing for some. Energy for building water structure connects to the sun. Radiant energy converts ordinary bulk water into ordered water, building this ordered zone. All wavelengths ranging from ultraviolet through visible to infrared can build this ordered water near infrared, which is near water near. Can build this ordered water. Near infrared is the most capable of structuring this, supposedly. Water absorbs infrared energy freely from the environment and uses that energy to convert bulk water into liquid crystalline water. Plasma as the 4th phase of water, aka easy water. No, not just easy, but exclusion zone because it profoundly excludes solutes. 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 Salute. Buildup of easy water occurs naturally and spontaneously from environmental energy. Additional energy input creates additional easy buildup. Tiamat, mixing of waters. The middle of the Persian Gulf, where fresh waters from the Arabian aquifer mix and mingle with the salt waters of the sea. Bahrain, Arabic name meaning 2 seas. Much history. Some say Tiamat is a sea serpent or dragon energy. Mother of monsters, where Tartarus is the father. Mother of all gods like Rhea, Gaia, Cybele, Ops, etc. Let us take another look at Ascension Glossary's nod to Tiamat to add dimension and perspective. How much of this am I going to read again? I don't know if I want to do this right now. You know what? Now that I just said I don't want to do it, I'm like, I'm going to do it. Tiamat was the living goddess of the 10th gate of the planet Earth in what was formerly Sumeria and is now Iraq. You remember that? You remember being there? Tiamat is the female planetary logos principle and was a 5D planet. Her principle was the living intelligence gatekeeper to the Christ Buddha avatar matrix on our planet and in our solar system. So fitting, well, okay, we didn't do it here, but that's what I took out of the Venus layer, or no, one of the other ones. On the seventh live call, we went over Capricorn and Aquarius and how they can both represent the 11th layer in a 12 and 13 sign system. In a 12 sign, Aquarius as the 11th, and a 13 sign, Capricorn as the 11th. Tiamat, she was exploded into bits by the moon chain lineages and Nibiru, who used her essence to recreate the lunar forces and to replicate her female essence to force her to birth creatures in reversal formats, anti-life. The planet Tiamat is related to the destruction of the Sophianic body and the inability of the Christos Sophia consciousness to incarnate in human forms on the 3D Earth. The female consciousness of the planet Tiamat was Sophianic, so when she exploded, her consciousness descended into a collective form body, which is known as the Achamoth. The Achamoth is the name for the wounded goddess' fragmented body parts, which were collected and trapped by the NAA and fallen angelics in the 2D underworld of the planetary body to incubate or impregnate archontic creations. Thus, she was imprisoned in the earth body in the negative form body, which manifested as the Baphomet realms when the lower spirits of satanic nature abused her forces. All Satanists use the Baphomet fields trapped in the earth as the female principle used in their conjuring or worshiping rituals. I don't know. This is Ascension Glossary saying that. Is it like so, like I get it, but I also think we're at a point where we're supposed to rise above a lot of the storylines that have been like it's either this or this. But I also get it. This is the source causation timeline of forced breeding programs and the loss of freedom for women to consciously participate with the choice of pregnancy and birth. The Achamoth parts were used in reversal formats to manifest creations for the NAA and was the destruction of freedom for the mother and feminine principle on the earth. Thus, this event impacts all women, which led to the harnessing of her body parts in the underworld, which created the Baphomet realms and the Leviathan races, which are used by the Satanics. These lower realms manifested in their satanic forces in a variety of ways upon the material world, and that appears as sexual misery and misogyny in all of its forms. One known alien architecture that exploited this underworld damage as a phantom matrix was used by the NAA religious models, such as the Black Madonna Network, which feed into Baphomet. The destruction and capture of Tiamat's consciousness body is what led to the utter destruction of the white solar queens, who are the embodiments of the triple solar goddess, solar feminine ascended masters, splitting apart the Christos Sophia as the solar feminine principle, descended into lunar consciousness forms of sexual misery, which made ascension and leaving the time matrix impossible. After the invaders systemically hunted down and destroyed the Holy Mother Sophia's representatives all over the universal time matrix, hijacking her emerald records and solar Christ Mary wisdom teachings of spiritual alchemy and biological ascension, they set out to invert her sacred knowledge. Through artificial technology weapons used to spread satanic forces or parasites throughout the planetary grid, they sought to wreak havoc upon angelic humanity during the vulnerabilities of the Dark Aeon. The main technology weapon used to hold up the Dark Mother networks was an artificially generated galactic capstone network holding together several phantom wormholes using the red cube cloned version of the Tiamat Logos. The Cosmic Mother's reclamation of the Tiamat Logos white diamond core revealed the ancient Emerald Founder records of the original Anuhazi Mua language that was spoken and sung as the universal mother life principle for building and administering to the creation. Specifically, the blue solar Raisha dragon family were created by Cosmic Mother to embody her ancient musical language of the Holy Mother Sophia code transmitted from her white diamond sun and emerald crystal hearts within a 48 layered emerald crystal heart matrix. Woo, that's us, whoever else. I just got a reading done by someone recently and they picked up so heavy on that. Like they mentioned this certain solar energy and blue energies and my voice, and that's why I mentioned like me sharing this through my voice and my channel because it's a little different than through other people, and I have a hard time showing up and like playing a role. I feel like I'm here to be like everyone play their roles and then I suck or something, so I'm really trying to like not use this because I don't want to use anybody, but navigate this a sharing expression of the 88 series to kind of like transmute and get over that part of things because I do feel I have an important role as everyone does, but part of mine is definitely that. Blue, solar, racial, dragon family, whoop whoop. And that's not all we are. Okay, thus the cosmic mother of life, DNA language, sets the electromagnetic tones for architectural holographic patterning for the precise cellular alphabet arrangement for running diamond sun DNA transmissions throughout the emerald crystal heart networks that were once converging into the Tiamat white sun planetary core. Excuse me again, generating the 10D solar star network, Shara. So nod a little bit back to that Capricorn energy to a degree because I know Ascension Glossary is in the process of shifting their galactic zodiac and whatever. This white diamond core functioned in companionship with the blue rainbow sapphire shield 10D galactic gate to codify the frequency sets for organic biwave and triwave Christ Crystalla architecture for Christos frequencies and the emerald dragon Templar clock shields, setting the organic dimensional time waves for the entire universal matrix. The blue rainbow solar racial dragon family from the Christos spirit sons of the Arianas are the triple solar goddesses of Tiamat. Is that my cat again? Or was that someone up front? Okay. Uh, okay. It is. My parents are back. I hear them. Yes, I live at home and I'm almost 38. I'm 37 and a half. Clearly, I am a big child. Okay. Hi, Bob. I know I hear them. Okay. Um, la 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 la. Where am I? Bob. Universal Mother of Life principle embodied in the Sun Star networks, which spoke of the cosmic mother's genetic language of the Emerald Crystal Heart as utilized by the Emerald Order Christos God World creators. I don't remember where I left off exactly. Think it was there. Those species who were not sourced and embodied in this Emerald Order Ariana's lineage were supposedly forbidden to access, or learn how to speak this creation matrix language from the God worlds. Thus, this generated great conflicts and resentments towards the inhabitants of Tiamat that were assigned to protect the mother language and its cosmic records. The mother language was considered to be intrinsic to the creation of the universal mother of life principle, connecting to Elisa's son and her emerald crystal heart, genetic language of white sun Arianas, the Anuhazi origins of 12D Aramatena, which was holding the organic creator code and cellular alphabet that formed the Emerald Sun DNA language of the Emerald Order Cosmic Christos ancient builder races. Sorry, I was distracted by Bob while I was reading that. Thus, during the warring conflicts resulting in the destruction of Tara and Tiamat, the Holy Mother priestesses that embodied the Emerald Order Elohai higher creator knowledge also used cellular telepathy to transmit and speak the genetic language into manifestation, which further built out organic architecture for timelines and stargates. They were directing the Cantarian solar dragons on how to repair the energetic integrity of the Mother Arc and Arc zones with Emerald Order Christos as Zora Blue Rainbow architecture after the Thousand Years' War. This white diamond Elohai Mother Solar Dragon creator language was transmitted from the Cosmenius trimatrix of elation fields run elation fields running through the staff of Elasa as received by the Emerald Order Melchizedek Janus in the format of Cosmic Mother's Solar Daughters original Anuhazi Emerald Crystal Heart languages sourced from the Emerald Order's first creation matrix. This collision with Nibiru happened millenniums ago, with a 5D planet that was between Jupiter and Mars, referred to as the female principal stellar body Tiamat. This collision was catastrophic and severed the consciousness units of Tiamat and her moon consort, Apsu, Then Sun Kingu, we have Enki layers here, which were strewn into pieces of an asteroid belt. This asteroid belt changed the orbits of the inner planets and outer planets of our solar system. The severed bodies and consciousness of the planet were absorbed into a phantom matrix, and its physical remains plummeted into a descending orbit into the 3D density we now exist. It is a part of this planet that we now exist upon. I left in it there. See Phantom Tiamat, if you want to go look that up on Ascension Glossary. This is partially what I was saying is I do still think there's a place for tropical astrology. I know that people hate on it. If you're not familiar, people hate on it quite a bit, and that's fine. I don't mind that. But what I'm saying is, how can we facilitate infiltration by utilizing all that is and not doing the same thing where we're like, this is the map and that one's evil or bad or wrong? Because, like, I don't know you. You're not me. You might see a little differently, and that's kind of cool. We all have these little pieces. So I wouldn't want to, like, dismiss someone's point because I don't like how they're saying it. But that's being a human, I guess, and communicating. Okay. Humanity carries dead energy miasma from the traumatic memory of invasion and explosion recorded in the planetary body and cellular body from the wounded fallen goddess that once was the binary twin stars of the planets Tara and Tiamat. We will experience this sensation in different ways depending on our developed consciousness and higher sensory perceptions. It is an incredible memory of destruction, cataclysm, and annihilation of planetary life and species matrix. It is the same memory the controllers seek to manipulate in the human race to recreate that mass terror around the hidden memories of devastating cataclysm on this planet today. This is what I've talked about since I was little, where that's a lot of the spell work here is like triggering a vulnerability in somebody and then wanting to react with like a defensiveness and that continuing a loop of like this being subconscious, but like a deep pain. And you can't talk about a lot of things here without being called crazy or stupid or whatever. And this is something I, as a 1-year-old, was like, oh no, the bad aliens did it. They did it. They put that net around the earth, man. Fuck. The net, Nibiru Electrostatic Transduction Field, was anchored into Earth using the NDC and Nibiru Crystal Temple Network during the Luciferian Rebellion, 25,500 BC. So if there's phrases and terms you don't know, just go on Ascension Glossary. You can also look it up through the Guardian teachings and Iesha's work, which I also mentioned throughout the series, but it was a little easier to just copy and paste from AG. Convenience isn't always the best thing to choose, but it is what I did. By impinging scalar sonic pulses at the Earth's inner grid system, an interference pattern or electrostatic force field was created, enshrouding the Earth. This net has the effect of buffering or stopping incoming and outgoing signals, in particular to the higher dimensions, Guardian founder races, ETs, etc., creating a kind of quarantine. It blankets the civilization, isolating it from its natural connections to its inner consciousness and spiritual levels, and this field system interfaces naturally with man's existence and constitutes a holographic insert. So, like I mentioned, at age 1, I had this experience and I remembered this, and I was like so terrified that the bad aliens would realize that I got through. I would be like, I gotta talk about it, but not enough. Like, I gotta talk in code. Even though when I was in elementary school, I think it was first grade, or maybe it was kindergarten, I'd sneak out of my classroom just to open up random classroom doors and yell the word alien in there because I was trying to get people used to chaos just a little bit. Because if we don't ever talk about the aliens, this is gonna go on forever because people don't want to seem crazy. Isn't that, come on, get over it. All right, here we have red Nile cube technologies. We talked a bit about the red cube energies a bit. Take it or leave it how you want to, but this is more AG stuff. The red Nile cube or red cube is an advanced Wesen AI weapon with extensive programming transmitted through the red Trident network to continually clone and spin out phantom matrices and false holograms of Christos Diamond Sun DNA families, Azurites, and Ascended Master Christos lineages in this universe and in Wisa. Additionally, it is used as AI red wave global electromagnetic weapon for directing psychological warfare and spiritual warfare tactics in order to derail, confuse, or insert implanted thoughts and implants designed for genetic modification and mind control in order to target spiritually awakening groups as well as the majority of humanity. So, oops. Uh, when I was one, I was like, oh no, this net. And then in 2020, I discovered chelantic science, even though I had talked about the basis of the science my whole life. Now, the storyline, I was like, parts of this just don't resonate at all. And I think it's a part of that energy where we're looping. But I did ask some people about this net and this to target spiritually awakening groups. We all have frequencies, so the net tracks frequencies, and it's not so personal as it is anyone who's going above a certain frequency. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, we're all high frequency, because Helontics is a little different. So, you know, wording might be funky, but basically I did a meditation that someone sent me and it was clearly a holographic insert meditation. Like it was the green Tara and she just kind of like popped up and it like looked like a hologram. And then she kept repeating like phrases, but I don't come from a background of studying like uh certain like spiritual teachings or texts or going down certain rabbit holes or whatever. So I didn't really know who the Green Tar was. I didn't have like a personal idea or connection. However, consider that if somebody else watched it, they might be like, oh wow, I'm so special. She's talking to me. But I was aware that it was a holographic insert, so it's a little tricky. It's very nuanced. Okay, so I'm gonna read this next part too. All right. After the Atlantean flood, the Thothian Leviathan group generated an extensive inorganic wormhole network that was assessed from ley lines running through Bermuda Triangle, Giza, and Iran that connected into the artificial tree of life phantom areas where they had cloned out the exploded parts of Nibiru and Tiamat. So just interesting for different historical events and some current historical events. The entire planetary geography of the original Tiamat logos, along with the Adenic codes held by the white diamond goddesses or white solar queens, were cloned into the red trident anti-hierogamic machinery, which functioned as the artificial galactic capstones in 4D Mars, 7D Saturn, and 10D Pluto matrix. So you see that somewhat here. Let me read the other one and then we'll come back to it. Pluto, Saturn, Chiron, Mars, Nibiru. The capture and cloning of the Tiamat logos were utilized to form several phantom wormholes and phantom matrices connecting into Earth's 2D stargate and sprawling throughout the 4D, 7D, 10D axiotonal and ley lines. These phantom matrices were being used as the artificial rod and staff architecture, red trident, for the dark alien mother gestalts, and by the invading NAA forces primarily controlled by the Thothian Leviathan groups. So you got like some Stonehenge energies back there. Azazel, Black Lilith, Phantom Nibiru, Mars, 4D energies there. Chiron behind Saturn there, 7D, Osiris, Isis energies. Phantom Tiamat, Pluto, 10D energies. It says Moloch, Concedia. And that's the red cube, red trident. We have Earth, Tara, and Gaia. So we have 3D, 5D, and 8D. And inside of that is the Metatron black cube, which is projecting out a slightly different, this unholy trinity lunar rod architecture, 5D, 8D, 11D AI black cubes. Then we have the sun on the left with the Aether dodecahedron in the middle of it, and then on the other side on the right, the moon with the black cube energy. And then here is the anti-hierogamic Thothean Leviathan AI cube system. So the same image at a slightly different angle. Phew, so honestly, I could share so much more about Tiamat and the stories and layers, but we are taking this all with a grain of salt and dancing around here and there. If you remember, the class I taught was called A Grain of Salt. It's Grain of Salt Journey. But coming back again and again to the Virgo Pisces axis, so we have this sea, and aside from fresh water, we have this water and salt blend. They just go together. And if we were speaking of Virgo and Pisces, you could almost relate them to the overground seas and subterranean seas, both described in different ways as the sea, the mare, the virgin mare, and the minerals and fish of the seas. Some nods: sea of memory, time, tempest, a violent windstorm frequently accompanied by rain, snow, or hail, horses, hippocampus. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here for now. And we'll begin the next one with some Virgo axis energies focused on stories. So, let me see. Thank you. Until next time.